All right. I think I'm good to go. Let me get my microphone set up here so that we can talk to each other. There we go. And let me just check audio levels here. All right, good. You can hear me. And I have a chat window, so I can hear you if you want to chat with me. I'm going to arrange my stuff. How's everybody doing today? Let me just come in here and fix all of my windows. Is that Twitch? Which one is that's Twitch? There we go. I need to, let's do this. I'm just going to change the episode number on here for Twitch and change the title just so that it's different. So if people come back for, oh no, angles. What did I say? Right angles are for squares. Is that what I said? I think that's what I said. No. Let me look here. Yeah. I'm just fixing the title here because I have to kind of manually do it on the Twitch side of things. Because I have this set up to, there we go, to stream in Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook all at the same time. Want to become famous? Wow, that didn't take long. Look, for me to get my first, really? And I need to block this person. I can't remember how you block this person. Big followers. All right, whatever. Twitchy spam. You gotta love Twitch spam. Like the second I logged in, all of a sudden I had Twitch spam. It's like, come on, really? Really? You're just gonna spam me right away? But yes, that is the way it works. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I think I have mod view. Let me go to mod view. Maybe that's it. I'm just trying to ban this person from spamming content with stuff. There's the moderator view. Oh, but I have to open this bigger because I need to be able to see the comments more better. I don't like this. Can I make this go collapse that? There we go. There we go. Now, I think I can ban them, or we can report them, because that's the first thing we need to do is report them, because spammy. There we go. Bot account. It's probably definitely a bot account. And then spamming for subs. There we go. Okay, so I reported them, and now I can put my chat window back to where it belongs. But it, you know, it's a thing. It's just something you have to put up with. You know, to me, it's no big deal. If you're just hopping into the chat, you wouldn't probably notice that anyway. But if you are in here for a while, and those things, if you don't stay on them, they just get bad. So I try to spam them, or not spam them. I try to ban the spam when I can. All right, how's everybody doing today? I think now we're all caught up and ready to roll here. Excuse me. So welcome to my workshop. I am Jeff, and I make things here. I'm just looking around, seeing what's going on. I have a few things in progress right now, and I've been continually doing these things on the stream, and I try to catch you up if you've been following along. And I don't want to leave anything out. So that's why I'm like looking around going, okay, well, I don't want to forget anything. What's going on here? But where we left off on Monday was I was cutting the pieces of wood to fit into these bases that I've been making, and these will become lids. So I cut out all these square pieces of wood that kind of match the wood that the base is made out of, and then cut them to size to fit into the rabbit ledge that we made in there, we being me. And let me show you. So basically, oh, I didn't turn this camera on. Let's turn this camera on here, because that's my close-up cam. So I can hit this one and show you. Beep, beep, beep. There we go. So if you see the little ledge running around inside here, I cut this with the rabbiting bit, and then what I had to do was get a piece of wood of hopefully same species. Did I have two of this one? I thought I had two of this one also, but I may have put that somewhere else. Anyway, so I would take a piece of wood, same species. This is walnut that I had, and so I cut up some rough walnut and milled it down to the correct size, so it had width and length. And then what I did was, because this was cut with a rabbiting bit, it makes these corners right here are rounded. And I could square them off with a chisel, but I don't like doing that. I prefer to round the corners of my bases to fit them. And it's really easy to do. I just basically take a nickel, which I've got somewhere over here. Where did my nickel go to? You know what? It's really weird. Oh, there it is. So I take a nickel, one thin little nickel, and it is the exact same radius as my 1/4 inch rabbiting bit. I have another rabbiting bit, but it makes a larger radius. So the 1/4 inch makes a radius that is equal to a nickel. And so I just keep a nickel up there on my table saw fence. And when I make these things, I use that to just basically put the nickel on the corner. And so what we would end up doing is take this nickel and I put it on the corner of the, let me use this side. I put it on the corner of whatever it is I'm cutting out and just draw the radius right on there. I'll go to all four corners, draw the radius, and then I take it over to my my disc sander. I have a 12-inch disc sander. It's really very simple machine, but it works really well. And I put this on the platform of the disc sander and I just give it a little spin on the corners and work my way down to my pencil line, and that creates a really nicely fitting lid. So you can see that that lid fits in here really well. Go back to the close cam here. So you can see I get a pretty good fit. Now, what isn't fit is the height of this. So I leave them tall. So, because first of all, if I set it in there, I have to be able to get it out. So two things that I do. One is I cut notches in here so that there's a finger hole to remove these. And then the next thing I do is I flush these things down to the sides of the bases. So I've already done this on a ton of these bases right here. Like here is the zebra wood box base, whatever you want to call it. This one's really cool because I made two. I wasn't sure if I would like the way this turned out with one of these. This is a bunch of pieces left over from the trim that when I cut these down to size, the side pieces, I had a bunch of thin pieces left over because I think I had about 4 inches of width on the original boards. So I took those boards and laminated a bunch together and created a lid. The cool thing is with this zebra wood is that the pattern from the grain, I mean, you can't tell that's laminated wood unless you look at the end grain. If you look at the end grain, you'll see little pieces of lamination there. But when you're looking here, it just kind of works, right? Because if you look at the base and you look at the crazy wood grain on here, it's really hard to tell that this piece wasn't a full piece, right? So that's kind of nice. And then when it gets fitted in here, it fits in just like that. Actually, you have to do it the right way. Fits in here one way. There we go. When I flush them down with my saw, not when I saw, with my hand plane, you get dust in there. They are fitted so that they fit one way really well. So that's this one right here. But then I was like, well, I may not like that. So what I did was I created a second one. This one's kind of cool because in addition to those laminated pieces of zebra wood, I had some curly maple, and I used that in between to kind of create this little stripy view. And I don't know if you can see the curl in there. It's kind of cool. You can see the curl in the maple. So that'll look really nice when it's finished. But I was just thinking, you know, that would be kind of nice to put in here and have a second lid. So this one will actually get 2 lids. So whoever buys this gets 2 lids to go with their machine, and you can see what that looks, or with their base. You can see what that one looks like. So that's kind of fun too. This is gonna be an expensive base when it's done. This is probably a $150 base, just because of the price of the wood, and then because I made 2 lids. So, but I knew this was gonna be expensive anyway. So I did the zebra one. That one's all finished. What was another one? Oh, so this one was screwed up by me originally. I had originally cut a piece to go in here, and this was like one of the last things I did on stream the other day. Was I had a colossal oops on stream, and I had a piece of book matched, what is this, Sapelli. I had a piece of book matched Sapelli. I was cutting it to size, so I cut the width, and I checked the width in here, and it's like, okay, the width is good, got a good width, all right, I'm gonna cut the length, and Bonehead me cut the length an inch short. So as you can see, yeah, I screwed up royally, and I was not happy with myself. Luckily, I had some pieces of Sapelli that were left over from milling up this wood. Let me go find them. I'll show you what they looked like. Maybe. I don't know where I put them. Okay. Oh, here they are. Is this them? Yeah. So I had some sapelli left over, some rough stock that was thick. So I had this rough stock left over. And what I ended up doing was cutting, and I flattened this and cut this into strips and then laminated those strips together. So a lot of lamination going on. But I got a nice thick piece of sapelli, and because it's quarter sawn, once again, very hard to see the laminations from the front. This turned out really well. So you can see that matches up really well with the quarter sawn look of the edge of the boards. So that matches up really nicely. If you look at the end grain though, you'll definitely see that this thing is definitely laminations. But when I got it all fit and sized and everything else, it came out looking like this. So that actually turned out really well. I'm actually very happy with my save from my giant screw up here that I did. And I've already got this fitted in and flushed down to the surface. And that's the big thing is I get them, once I get the corners rounded and the finger hole inserted in there, then I go and put this in the, into the base itself. I use my hand plane and I flatten it out. I'm going to do that to this last one in a second. So the sapelli's done, zebra's done, the Jatoba, which, wow, this stuff is so crazy to work with. It's very hard wood. I was just flushing up the corners here, which needs to be done. But this one also, now this is a nice little book match. I like this one. This one looks really pretty. This is a book match, and I've got this one flattened down. So that's nice and flush. So this looks really great, right? So there you go. You can see that one in all of its glory with the book match top and everything else. This is for a smaller machine. This is for a 3/4 size machine, as opposed to these other 3 bases over here that we're working on that are for larger machines. But this has all the same features. These little finger holes that I made in here were another issue that happened off camera, because the way I usually do those is I just, once again, I get my little nickel and I'll draw a reference circle or semicircle on the lid. And then I just take it over to the bandsaw and I just kind of nibble away down to that line. And then what I'll do is I'll take these into my spindle sander and just clean up all of those lines. Because you can see, let me show you a close up in there. You can see that there are little lines inside there from the bandsaw where I just nibbled away from that wood. That's not the issue. The issue is that I had my resaw blade in the bandsaw, and it's a 3/4 inch wide blade that I use for resawing boards. You know, resawing is when you take a board, put it on end, and you cut it through like this, and you're basically making thinner pieces of wood. So that's how I make my book matches and things like that. Well, as I was just doing this, all I had was I had it on the surface. I'm just running it into the blade and just nibbling away, which really is about the easiest job that blade ever had to do. Yeah, this happened. Oh, so this is my 3/4 inch resaw blade that just basically, I don't know if that was where the weld was, maybe. I mean, it's nice and clean. So I guess my weld just broke. But this thing's just, and it was, and the motor's still spinning, and this was pressed. Look, you can see the round or the square corners here and stuff. It like slammed it up into the corners of the cabinet and stuff. It's kind of scary. I mean, I didn't have to worry about it flying out at me because it was very well captured inside the cabinet of the bandsaw, but still. Yeah, this was my workhorse blade, and look at that, 3/4 inch thick. Now, this was at the very, very maximum usability of my blade. It was probably too big. I mean, in honesty, that blade was too big for my saw. I probably shouldn't go above a 5/8. It says 3/4, but 5/8 is really, if you set your saw up right, 5/8 is really the limit of where you want that saw to be. Now, Problem I have is I only have a 1/4 inch saw blade left. All my other saw blades are broken, trashed, and gone. I haven't replaced them in a while. And I've had that blade on there forever. I've just used it for everything. I don't do a lot of like turning type cuts and stuff where I need to make sharp radiuses with the bandsaw. I'm usually just resawing and making straight cuts. So having that big giant blade on there, usually not a problem for me. But now I don't have it. So yeah, so that was an issue. So basically what I did was I ordered a new blade last night. Which one did I get here? I think I got a 1/2 inch this time. And I need to check to see if I can get a 5/8. But I did order a 1/2 inch what is it, by 0.025, yeah, it was 3 teeth per inch hook saw blade. So 3 teeth per inch, if you're doing resawing, you want that because you're sawing through a lot of thickness of wood. When you're doing a resaw, I mean, if I'm flat, I don't need a lot of wood removal if I'm going this way, but when you're going this way, that blade has to work itself all the way through the wood, and you're taking sawdust with each time a tooth goes through, it's gathering more sawdust. So you want those fewer teeth with larger gussets to really be able to move that sawdust out, and it'll give you a cleaner cut. So fewer teeth for resawing, more teeth for doing precision cuts when you're working with flat wood and you're turning and getting tight radiuses and things like that. Anyway, I've got a 1/4 inch in there now. I ordered a 1/2 inch. I need to look for like a 5/8 inch blade. The problem is my blade length on my saw is not easy to find. It's 99 3/4 inch blade length, which is not a really standard size. Let's see, 3/4 inch bandsaw blade. Let's see what I can find here. So I got 99 3/4 inch bandsaw blade. I mean, you can find them, but it's not easy. But I'd like to find something that's about a 5/8 inch blade. And it's, yeah, lots of 1/4 inch blades. 1/4 inch are easy to find. There's a 3/4 inch, which is the Timberwolf, which is what I think I had on there before, but I'm not going to go back to a 3/4. It's just too much for that machine. Hopefully one day when I get my bigger bandsaw, it'll handle a 3/4 inch blade without any issue. But I need to find something. I'd like to find like a 5/8 inch resaw would be really nice. 3/4 kind of seems to be the play, but I would really like to find something in that 5/8 of an inch territory. So anyway, I'll look and see. Good God, that's an expensive saw. $1,900 for a bandsaw. I don't think so. But anyway, I will have to go and look. I did order a 1/2 inch, so a 1/2 inch will get me by, but I might have to do more than just look on Amazon, because I might look at some specialty places. There's places that will actually cut blades for you. They'll make them specific sizes, and they do the welds and everything else. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on that. I did get all of them cut because I switched to that 1/4 inch blade. I managed to finish doing all the finger stuff. I need to clean those out. The problem I have now, which will be solved later today, excuse me, is that my my sandpaper spindles on my spindle sander are kind of worn out. The ones that I use for this, the sandpaper is all worn out. I've switched papers a few times, excuse me, and it's kind of to the point where it's not going to work. So I'm going to step off camera for a minute. I'm going to grab my drink. I left it in the kitchen. But anyway, I need to get some new spindle sandpaper. I've got some on order, and it should be arriving today. So I will have some. I didn't order a lot of different stuff. I just get basically a 120 and 150, because I'm usually just refining an angle or something, I don't need to be super aggressive with it. So I don't need anything more aggressive than 120. Oh, that's so much better. Thank you. Yeah, so I will clean all of these cuts up because they are rough. They're just made with a bandsaw. So I will clean those up with the spindle sander, make them nice and smooth so they feel good on your finger. And anyway, we're getting close though. I have one more that needs to be flushed up. The lid, that is. So you can see that this lid, see that? Put it back over here so you can see that this lid not quite flush to the surface. And I will take care of that in just a couple of minutes. We will do this in two different ways. The first way is that I take a pencil and draw a line right around the edge and trace this so that I can see exactly how much material is going to need to be removed. I've actually drawn the pencil line on here, but I might touch it up. So I've got a pencil line on the side here that basically shows where this can be brought down to. And I do that not because I need it for the hand plane, but because I take this to the jointer first. Because I need to remove, I mean, if I was to do this with the hand plane, I'd be here for half an hour hand planing this down, because I don't use an aggressive cut. I use a very gentle cut, very thin material removal. And if I tried to do this with a hand plane, it'd be a while. So what I do is I take it over to my jointer and put the rough side down, and I just make a few passes until one of those, and it doesn't do it exactly flat. One of these will get closer to the line. One side, one edge will get closer to that line than the others. That's okay. As soon as I get close to that line on some part of this side of the base, then I'll bring it over, I'll stick it in the base, and then I'll use my hand plane and take it the rest of the way down. And that, to me, has always been the easiest way. Nice table screwed up there. I have to fix that. But anyway, that's the easiest way for me to get these flush, is to do it with a combination of the jointer and my hand plane, and I get really good results. No one seems to complain. They seem to like them. So we'll do that in just a moment. Let me give an update on my little Christmassy present adventure that I'm doing, because I finished most of the CNC work with that yesterday too. I was busy in the shop yesterday. I had one piece where it screwed up, and I showed that my CNC, my piece came loose. My double-sided tape did not hold, and my piece came loose, and the bit went and peeled out. And I was like, okay, that's enough. I don't need to go any further. I finished cutting that out on the bandsaw. So I have a big lip right here. There is actually a lip around this where there's extra wood. So I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can get an angle here. We can see, okay, so you see this wood right here. This is actually sticking up further than, there you go, you can see it now. So this edge right here, I'm going to take this and put it on my router table because I have a smooth edge that was cut by the bit already. I just need to move this extra material around the bottom. So I'm going to do that on the router table and get this one cleaned up. All the others are done, and they are pretty good. They need to be sanded on the edges and things like that and cleaned up, but these are all pretty much done. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, so there will be 6 of these altogether. So these are just nice, pretty laminated, lots of different styles of wood and such. There's a monogram in there because these are going to different people. And so I've already planned that out. What's next? So I'm going to sand these down just once, just to clean up the edges and make sure my edges are going to be clean on these monograms, because they are going to get filled with epoxy. So before I actually do that, what I'm going to do, because here's the deal, I am going to epoxy these things so that this carved area gets filled with epoxy, but the epoxy is going to be stained black. And I'll just add dye stain to it and make the epoxy black so that you'll have a really cool looking black monogram. inside here, and they'll get sanded flush, and it'll look really cool. But because I'm using a black stain in my epoxy, I don't want that to stain any of the surrounding wood, because if I fill this too much and it overflows onto the surface of here, that black stain, especially like down here on this wood right here, where this looks to be a little bit of sycamore, and up here where it's maple, I don't want that to stain the wood. So what I will do is I'm going to spray these just in this area of the monograms. I'm going to spray them with shellac, and that shellac will create a barrier which will not let the epoxy sit into the wood grain. It'll just be on top of the wood grain, because it'll be on top of the epoxy, or on top of the shellac. Inside here, I don't care. It can sit inside and do whatever it wants to, because it's going to fill this area. So that is what I'm going to do with these. I'm going to spray these with shellac, and then let's see what's going to be next. Okay, so then what I will do is I will mix the epoxy, which I have a small thing of fresh epoxy coming today. It's really small. It's like 2 16-ounce bottles. I don't need a ton. I'm going to mix up some small amounts of that. I also have some small plastic syringes with little kind of fine, they're not needles. They're really kind of like what's on the CA bottles here with these tips. And I'm going to use that to basically put the epoxy inside instead of trying to pour it. I mean, these are really pretty fine lines. So I'm going to use those syringes to put the epoxy in and fill these letters so that I don't get a ton of overfill. I'm trying to keep it inside of the engravings. And then once all that's, I'll let those sit for a few days just to make sure they're totally cured. And then I'll give them a scuff sand, and then scrape them, and then sand them again until everything's flat and flush. So that's what's kind of coming next for these things. I'm going to drill a hole in the end. I've got some leather strapping, I guess, or whatever, leather cord that I'm going to just put through there and tie into a knot, you know, so there'll be a loop of leather hanging here, so you can hang it from a hook or something if you want to. These things are really well done, because it's like they're almost vacuum sealing to each other. So they're very flat. So anyway, that's what's going on with these. These turn out really nice. They look really pretty, and hopefully they will be well received. But yeah, so that's my deal. I've got, like I said, flush trim that one. Then I'm gonna spray them all with shellac. Then I'm gonna fill them, and once they're filled, then I'll sand that off flat. Then I'll get into the final sanding. I'm going to sand these to maybe 600 grit, I think. And then I've got a new finish I'm going to be trying, which is also arriving today, which is Odie's oil, which I'm going to also be using for the bases. But it's a food safe finish. It's a oil wax kind of a mix. Really supposed to be simple to put on. You just basically work it into the wood, and then you let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you clean it off, and then you buff it, and it's done. So that's kind of maybe 2 coats, depends. I hear different opinions on how many coats it needs. But anyway, so these are coming along, making progress. I have to keep an eye on the calendar in respect to those, which is why, you know, I could do those on stream, but I really need them to get done so I can get them in the mail, which is why I just keep progressing them as fast as I can. And I really can't spend the time to share the process with you. Maybe at some other time we'll just do one for fun that's not made for a Christmas present. And we can do some laminated charcuterie boards and make some fun designs and stuff. But these need to get out into the postal system sooner rather than later so that they can get to where they need to go, because most of them go halfway across the country. I can't see any more. Although anybody who is watching from my family probably already knows where they're going. So and that's the other thing about making gifts online, you know, if the people who are going to receive them are watching, they kind of already know what they're getting. Hopefully nobody's watching my live stream. That's a good thing to say, isn't it? All right. Well, you know what? That's enough chatting. It's kind of where we're at right now. Oh, the other thing we're going to do today, if you've read the description, is we're going to round the corners over on these bases. So as I clean up this last base right here, the lid to it, we are going to clean up these edges because they are just a little proud of the flat pieces here. So we're going to get these flush down. So these end pieces here from the joinery are flush with the faces here. And we'll do that on all the sides here just to make sure I've got a nice flat square corner there. And then we're going to get rid of those corners by using a round over bit and just put a big round over on all these corners because I don't like square corners on these bases. I like them to be more traditional. The traditional ones are rounded, and that's what I go for. So the first thing I need to do on this one is we need to get this down to a much closer proximity to the wood surrounding it. And the way I'm going to do that is, as I said, we're going to take this over to the jointer first. And I don't know that I have a jointer cam set up. I think that's about as close as we got. So let me go put this over and focus you on the jointer just so you can see over there is the jointer. We'll zoom it in here. So there's the jointer with my charcuterie board sitting on it. So we need to get rid of those. I just put them there. Now I got to move them again. Always looking for places to put stuff. There we go. So got those out of the way. I'm going to grab this thing and we are just going to start. I'm looking for the grain direction on here because the problem with book matching is your grain goes in two different directions on either side. It can be very difficult to flatten these things when you book match. But we'll give it a shot here. See what we come up with. Grab some ears here. And we're going to just turn this on and make some passes. I need to turn the heater off over here because otherwise it'll blow the fuse. It was kind of chilly in the shop this morning, but we're up to 66 degrees now, and that's comfortable for me to work in. So you'll see me like turning it and looking, and I'm looking at that pencil line because I can go up to the pencil line. I don't want to go past it because then it would be too low for sitting inside my base. So we're going to come back over here and I will set this back inside and we will look. Now I'm much closer to the edge now, where I need to be. I'm going to set this over here. got my my middle of my bench set upwards, raised up. So it gives me a little bit of a bench stop, so I can use the hand plane and go against it. I'm just looking to see. So right here, I'm really close on this edge. Move my drink. So I'm really close right here and right here. This side does not need a lot. This side's a little taller, but not too bad. I'm going to put this away for a moment. So all I'm going to do is, oh, these are really interesting. I'm going to use my hand plane, get my chair out of the way here so I can get a little leverage here, and hopefully not tear out the wood here. Come in at an angle just to kind of try to make nice cuts. I don't want that to happen. So it's really low right there. So I got to be careful on this edge. This edge is actually right there where it needs to be. So I'm going to pull up at the last second. See, I'm kind of hitting this right here. Don't want to do that. I got to be careful of that edge right here. Got to pull up away from that edge. Just dump my shavings right here. And we're just working this down. It's pretty close. I mean, this does not have a lot of work to do to get close. And we'll take the sander and, you know, sand all this after the fact. So it'll lose a little bit more of any height that's on here, but I do like it to be about as flush as I can get it. But going through that joiner first really does make a big difference. Just feeling for any height differences here. A little bit right there. And I think looking pretty good. Now I do have a little bit of edge nastiness right here that I just screwed that up. What I can do with that is get my cabinet scraper and kind of clean up some of those areas where I caught that grain. It's hard to do. Some of this will have to be cleaned up with sandpaper. But if I can clean it with a cabinet scraper and make it look better right here, just need some cabinet scraping just to get this grain cleaned up right here on top. There we go. That looks much better, much cleaner. And so you can see now we've got a really nice looking lid. It's nice. I like this. I picked this piece. It's not book match, but it had a really cool kind of a cathedral pattern right up the middle, which kind of looks almost like a book match. So that's why I picked this particular section of this piece of wood. Now it's got a little wobble thing going on here. That's probably from the interior of this. I got to feel around, see if there's any places here that are not exactly flat. And then we can, because the thing is, this only works one direction usually. That's actually not bad. Let me see if I can just kind of clean up this side a little bit. Just gently push it. Yep, see, I don't want to catch that. Careful. This edge grain is this right here. There was a knot and stuff, so the wood grain in this section is really gnarly. So I have to be careful with that. So I'm just really gently just kind of pulling this across, trying not to catch the wood on the side here, but get this kind of cleaned up flat. See, I'm getting nice shavings here. My blade is pretty sharp. All I'm doing is flattening this out. I'm not putting a lot of downward pressure. I'm just letting the sharpness of the blade kind of do the work here. Ugh. And I had to be careful because I keep catching this, so I'm going to have to come back with my cabinet scraper and just clean that up just a little bit more. This looks really nice. I'm happy with this. I think I can live with that. See if I can just sort of take this out and just kind of clean this up a little bit. Erase this, get right in the corner there. Cabinet scrapers are really nice if you get any tear out and stuff. I mean, they're just like little planes, but they do a really great job of cleaning up areas of tear out and stuff, kind of fixing little oopses sometimes when your planes and stuff catch or whatever. And then once you come through with some sandpaper, it all looks really nice. But you have to be careful when you have intersecting grain directions. Like I've got a board going this way with the grain running here, but this one with the grain running, who the hell knows where this is running? Because it's that twisted kind of grain going around that knot. But you have to be careful when you're running your tools around those, because you really can get some gnarly tear out from that stuff. Oh, yeah. Alrighty, so that is pretty much the process I went through for all of these bases over here. When I was working with all these other bases and getting these lids, there's 4 of them that have side compartments. I have 4 sitting over there that do not have side compartments. They're just basically from here to here. The ones with the side compartments are a lot more work. It requires me to do all of this extra. I have to do the centerpiece here. I have to do the rabbet cut in here. We have to make sure it's all flattened first. We have to cut and size lids and round the corners. And then we have to flush these down to fit. So these side compartments add a lot of work to what is normally a fairly simple construction process. And that's why I charge more for them. So is what it is. All right, well, that fits either way now. And I will hit this, like I said, with the sandpaper, and it'll get super flush. But that looks really nice, and you can see that it does a nice job of adding some character to that. And that's why I like the flush fitting ones. I used to make one that just kind of set inside and was raised up like 1/4 of an inch all the way around. This is just such a clean look to this. That's why I really like it. All right, so the next thing I need to do before we move on to rounding these corners over is I need to make sure that these edges are flush. So I don't know if it's hard to see here. There we go. But you can see how this sticks out. This little edge piece sticks out just a little bit from this flat side piece right here. So this flat side piece needs to be flush with these little corners right here. And to do that, you have to be really careful because we're gonna basically use the hand plane once again, but I can't plane I can't plane this way, okay? Which, what I mean is, I'm gonna plane this direction on this end because all of these wood fibers along here are supported by this big piece of wood here. If I was to run my plane across this side, there's nothing supporting the wood on this edge. And when my plane cut across there, it would just pull all that wood away. Now, I'm going to do a round over. That might be okay, but it might not. It might damage this to the point where, you know, it's just beyond repair. So in order to make sure I do it right, what I usually end up doing is I'll cut or I'll flush each one. I'll flush this one going this direction. I'll flip it around and flush this one coming this direction. And trying not to get, I'm not trying to flatten this. So once I get down to that level, I'll stop. But what this does is it gives me a better profile when I'm doing the round over. I mean, it may not need to be done, but I just find my roundovers, when I have this nice flush corner to start with, the roundovers turn out much better. So I'm just trying to get this down. I mean, it can be just a hair over, but like I said, just trying to get it down like that. So it's flat and flush. That's all. That's all I'm doing. All right. I'm going to just turn the brightness down on my monitor here so my battery doesn't like die instantly. There are chat windows on all the platforms. So if you have a question or a comment or just want to say, hey, I will try to check out the chats as often as I can while still being safe. That's my number one objective, is to not lose my fingers. But I do want to respond if anybody does have questions or comments or whatever. Now you can see here I'm starting to hit the side, and I don't want that, so I just need to be careful, because also this is going to go against the grain and I will get tear out, which I just did a little bit, which means I come back with my cabinet scraper, clean that up. And the cabinet scraper will not tear out usually. And you can come at different directions with your cabinet scraper as well, if you've got a nice sharp one. That's good. I'm going to clean this up with the hose here. It's easier. But yeah, that's the other problem, is depending on which way the grain is running. If I come in from the wrong direction, it can create tear out on those flat surfaces. So you really kind of got to be careful. This one is easy to go this direction because that's going with the grain, not against it. So if I did happen to catch the side, it's not going to tear anything out. So really what I'm trying to do is keep the sole flat on there and let that be a guide for where there's any high spots. All right, that one's nice and flat. And so I got to do this for all of them. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and clean up these little edges. So chat amongst yourselves. Chat amongst yourselves. All right. Let's see, I've done some of these already. Some of them have already been flattened down. I think I finished this one. This is the Jatoba box. It's really heavy. Nope, this one needs to be done on this edge. I did one side already. This is one of those where I have to be really careful on tear out. This stuff is super hard. Yeah, this wood is really super tough. Really trying to just use a slicing motion for this stuff. I'm probably going to do my round over on this one last, just so I don't kill my blade for the other ones of the round over bit. Now you can see how long it's taking me just to get down. This is one tough little base right here. It's tough. All right, that's one. I got one more side to do on here. This is the one that worries me the most. Trying to see which way my grain is running. It's kind of straight, so I'm hoping it doesn't get any tear out on here. I tell you, if I was ever tempted to leave one square, it would be this one. And it still might be. I might leave this one square because I'm telling you what, this wood, I really fear that wood is so hard. And what I would do is just put a little 1/8 inch round over on here to smooth it out. I might just leave this like this though. I mean, I can get my cabinet scraper through there, but whoop, man, that wood, it's cool. I like it, but wow, it's something else. It is something else, and it's heavy. This is so funny that it's like heavier than all of my other large bases, and this is the smaller one. All right, who needs to be cleaned up? That's good. That one's good. This one needs cleaning up on the edges. This is Sapili. Let's get this one cleaned up. And I'm just using my leg clamp to clamp this to the face of my bench here. So it holds it pretty well. Sapili is a hard wood. Like on the Yanka scale, it's pretty hard. But it surprisingly cuts very smoothly. Take your time. Ooh, that looks nice. All right. That was a pleasure after that Jatoba. For some more wax, when you start getting those squeals, it means it's time to wax the bottom of my plane again. It's basically where the end grain is rubbing, so it's basically running it right on top of that end grain, and it makes that squealing noise if it's not sufficiently waxed. Oops. All right, that one's good. And we will go to the other side. So this is a pretty pretty big operation for doing all this stuff. I've got around 7 different bases because I got to bring all those smaller ones over here and do this to them as well. Because we're now back all on the same page of things needing to be done. The small bases are the ones without storage and the ones with storage. The storage has now been handled. So now we're just on everything's on the same page, needing the roundovers and needing to have corners glued in. So this is like the final 2 steps in I call it the construction of these. Is the hell was that? Weird. I got a little chip there. Yeah, so this is the last basically steps in the construction of these, is to get the corners rounded and to get the corner supports glued in. Corner supports are a process unto themselves because, well, first I need to cut some. And then secondly, they have to be sized exactly for the machines that are going in here. So that's always fun. Always fun. Let me just dump the garbage can there. All right, this one's almost finished. A little stubborn on this edge. There we go. All right. It's nearly done. And that means I already did the edges on the zebra wood. So now it's time to move on to the smaller ones. So let me go grab those and bring them up here. For those of you who've forgotten, these are the smaller ones. So we have lots of them. Wow, another one. Another one that wants to know if I want to be TikTok famous. Really? But I got rid of you. Thought I got rid of you. Can I delete that one? Thought I could delete that one. I delete this chat. I wonder if we can, can you click on it and delete it? You can't right click and delete a chat here, can you? I wonder if I can clear the chat. Should be able to. I've got the mod thing out here, but just, you know, whatever. I'm not heavily into the TikTok thing, so I mean, I watch TikTok people and stuff, but I don't spend a lot of time in the moderators side of things. So, all right, this one I've actually done. Cool. This one I've done. I don't know if I've done these or not. I can't remember. Sometimes when I've got nothing else to do, I will sit there and clean the corners off. So I might have done all these already. This one has not been done. So there was one left. Okay, I did all the other ones. The Paduke have been done. We just have to finish with the zebra wood here. Zebra also a hard wood to work with sometimes. It can be splintery. And see, this is what I don't want is tear out on here. And I just got a little teeny bit of tear out right there. Enter cabinet scraper again. Although I think a lot of that tear out is kind of hidden because of the grain of the zebra wood. I still don't want any, if at all possible. I tell you what, when you put finish on something, stuff just pops out at you that you just couldn't even see before. So just got to be careful. All right, what the heck? You're being obtuse. There we go. And this one's almost done, this side anyway. Okay, and I'm just gonna hit this with the cabinet scraper one time down here, going this direction. There we go. Just cleaning off any imperfections there. I got a little bit right. That's kind of. Yeah. Nice and smooth. One last side, and then we can move over to the router table and get it set up for these roundovers. So the way I do the roundovers is same thing that I think about when I'm doing the planing here is I want to make sure that I'm supporting the wood that's getting rounded over, because the roundover bit will push this direction through the wood, and anything here that's not protected, not supported, will get torn out, and that will be sad. So we don't want to be sad. We want to be happy with our results. So what I will do is clamp a piece of wood, just a backer board, for the side that is on the trailing side of the cut, and that will provide enough support that we, fingers crossed, hopefully, pretty much is the case, avoids blowout. Okay. We are flush. So all of these corners are now, you can see that's nice and flush. Look at this one right here. You can see, if I turn on an angle for you, you can see that this is pretty flat to the face, and that's what we're after. All right. Now we can turn our attention to the router table, which is over here. I've got a bunch of stuff setting on it, so give me a minute while I rearrange my junk that I have here that is not needed at the moment. This is actually goes over here, and we don't need any of these, and we do need to move the laptop. Okay. And we're not gluing anything yet, so we don't need to glue. This is pretty much what we need right here. I am going to put up my little cardboard barrier because that just kind of keeps the wood chips from flying all over the place. So really what I do is I put a piece of cardboard up here like this, and then I'll take my vacuum hose, because I don't want to put my table saw fence and stuff up here. Not my table saw, my router table fence up here. Kind of doesn't, isn't needed. So I'm going to take this and put it up here, and I just clamp this into place like this. And it kind of catches all of the dust coming off into here, and it just keeps it from blowing all over the place. That's really the main gist of it. All right, we need to take this plate off because this plate is not going to fit on the bit that we want to use. Let's go ahead and get this bit out of here first. Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky. So squeaky. Oh, so squeaky. All right, locks in place. Get rid of this. This is my rabbiting bit. We're going to get rid of this bit and this collet because this is a 1/4-inch collet. And what we need is the big 1/2-inch collet. So we'll put this over here, and I'm going to go retrieve my roundover bit. If I can find it. There we go. What little bit don't I use I can stick in the back, because I need, there we go. Put this one up here. All right. This is the roundover bit that I use. It's quite large. It's a very large roundover. How large, you say? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's ways for me to find out. I think it's a, let's see if I can measure this. It's a 1/2-inch roundover. Yeah, 1/2-inch roundover. What it looks like to me. Maybe a little bit more. But it's maybe 3/4-inch roundover. I can't tell. Anyway, it's a large roundover bit, but I like it. The profile's really nice. It does a really good job. Actually, I need to take the vacuum off and clean this out just to get all the dust and debris out of here. Okay, dust and debris is out. I'm gonna put this back. And then put the collet on. That bit in there. Okay, and I need a much larger plate here. I think it's this one, maybe? I think that's too small. Yep. 1 5/8 is too small. I think, what is this? 2 1/8. That's the winner. So we'll put the 2 1/8 inch on there, and we'll lower this thing down. All right. Now we need to set this blade height up so that blade height. I keep saying blade. We need to set the bit height up so that it just runs underneath our board or our base or whatever is going to go against here. See, right now, this is not touching. It can run right up the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise this up, squeaky, until it hits. So now it's hitting that the edge of the blade right here. It's hitting the edge of that blade, and then I will lower it down till it just slides like that, slides underneath it. That will basically give me the cut that I need. Now, before I make these cuts, I need a bunch of cutoff boards to use as backer boards for making these. I need one board per base. And I can actually, I don't want to use these. These are good. I'm going to use these scrap pieces for something else. So really what I do is use cutoffs and, oop, that's a good one. Nope, that's going to go over here. I'm trying to save some of these larger pieces I want to use for a different project, but I do need 4 square pieces of wood here, and I usually can find them in my bin, but my bin's getting full. Okay, there's not one. There's one. Find more of these things. Because I test all kinds of cuts with them, and then they are not the shape they need to be to help me out, unfortunately. There's 2. Wow, that's really stout. 3. Now, if I have longer ones, what I can do is take them to the, there's 1, 4. I can take them over to the saw and shave them down, cut off the bits that get rounded over, because that's what happens is the edges get rounded. Oh, there's a good one. 4, that's nice. 5, that's a good one. 6, walnut down here I didn't realize I had. There we go. Oh, nope, that one's got a profile on it. I know. This is exciting stuff to watch, isn't it? Oh, there's a good one right there. All right. And here's another one. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'll bring these over and I'll show you that one's not good. I'll have to recut some of these. So I have a few here. I'm going to cut the dovetails off of this one. And I need to cut some of these down that have been used previously. So I'm going to just get all the ones that need to be cut down. These are good. These are good. These are good. These are good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, no, not this one. And 8. Yeah, I can use this one. Is this flat? They have to be flat in order to work right. This, I can use this one too. Okay. These are good to go. That's kind of small. We're going to throw him in the discard pile. These need to be, have the rounded edge. So if you look, there's a rounded edge. These have already been used as backers for, show you a little bit closer. You can see the rounded profile on here right there. That I use this as a backer for some previous boxes. But what I have to do is cut these so they're square, get rid of that, and I need nice square edges on these. So I'm going to take these over to the saw over here and just cut me some nice square pieces, and then I will have 8, which is the exact number I need for doing this. So we won't have to go recut any of these, because what I would do is once I used it to round one over, I would just bring it back over here to the saw and cut the corners off and have another one good to go. Is that gonna work? Yep. Okay. Let me get my ears because this is loud. I don't have my computer on today. Oh well. A little late in the show now, right? A little late. All right, now I have squared up edges on these. And that will allow me to use them as backers for roundovers. We'll come back over here and grab these and put them here. So the way this is going to work, although I think I only needed 7 because I think I said I was going to leave that sapele the way it is. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I've got a base. I'm going to set it down on here. So as I push this, if this is the roundover bit, as I push this across that roundover bit like this, what happens is when it reaches this end, if there's nothing here, this wood is free to fly out and bend and you know, splinter or whatever. If I take this and I clamp it right to that corner, right? Well, now what happens is when that blade reaches the end, it's going to cut into this piece. All of the wood from here is supporting the cuts here. And it'll keep it from tearing out. And then any tear out happens on this piece, not this one. And I don't care about this because it's sacrificial. And that's the way that works. So let me get a clamp and we will clamp this down and I'll show you. So generally I just put this on here and I will clamp it in place just like that. And you can see I have a really nice flush edge here. As I come across, it supports it. No tear out. Life is good. Let me check my fit here just one more time. That seems really good. What else do I need to do here? I need to move my power over to here because we need some power on the router. And yeah, we're going to turn the saw on, or the router on. I'm going to adjust the speed on it. It's a large bit, so I usually turn the speed down a little bit. It's a variable router, so I turn the speed down a little bit because it is a large bit. The larger the bit, the slower the speed. And we'll turn this on, dust collection, and good to go. Let's do one here. Okay. That was not good. I mean, it made a good cut. Don't get me wrong, it made a good cut. But when you see your blade stop spinning in mid thing, you know that you didn't tighten your bit enough. So my bit is not tight enough. I think I screwed that up. Probably, you know, hey, would that be the first time? Nope, look at this. It's just spinning in there. So it came undone. So we got to raise this back up. We'll reset the height. I could have sworn I tightened that, but you know what? I might not have. Might have gotten in a little bit of a hurry. And the fact that it actually cut anything is pretty impressive then. All right, hang on. What's up? All right. Hopefully that's going to be better. I'm stupid and you're watching Stupid Woodworking with Jeff, the world's dumbest woodworker. I just didn't get that tightened down enough. Let me go ahead and clean up the dust though. Need to get the guard on here, and I don't want it to. I don't want it to be in the way. That locked in. Get this lowered down, and get my height just right. Okay. This did its job on that piece, so thankfully. It did round the corner nicely. we're going to set this up. Now, the way this works is I use the same piece of wood. There's 4 corners here. I just keep rotating it, put a fresh corner on the new corner that we're going to route. So there's always a fresh corner on here being held in to support the wood. Get a better clamp on that. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, let's try plugging it in. Always a good idea to plug in your machines before you use them, you know, so that the power works. So that one is done. So those nice big roundovers now, and these will get sanded smooth, but I just really like that big round. You can see the profile there on that. I just like that big round profile. It just, I don't know, looks really cool. I like it. And it's very reminiscent of the older sewing machine bases. They all had those big roundovers on there. And I think it just nice to keep some traditional elements in there. So this piece right here, you can see all 4 corners got used. If I wanted to use this again, I would just cut those rounded corners off and it's ready to roll once more. So I'm going to grab another base here, or another block here. And we will start with, this is this Sapele? Yeah, this is a Sapele base. So in here, that clamp down. And then I'm just going to roll through the 4 corners just like we did with the previous one. So you'll notice I do like 3 passes just to keep things light. I don't like to take heavy passes. No sense in removing that much wood. This isn't a race. All right, so Peely looks really nice. It's kind of funny. You can sort of see how square your construction is when you're running it through, if your lines are straight up and down or if they're off a little bit. It's like this is a nice corner right here. You can see that line. Very nice. This one, not the squarest of square, I guess, but it all looks good once you get it through the grits and the sandpaper. All right, let me get rid of this one. Let's grab another little supporting block here. You can see this is, I mean, it's a really simple process. The key here is the backer board. That's really the key to success with any of these things, is just having a good backer board. Takes a lot of this stuff out to the back, but that's okay. It's all good. Yes. Tell you what, take a quick break because that may have been my package. I had one arriving on UPS, so let me go check it out. I'll be right back. Was indeed one of my packages. I have no idea what the package is. Let's find out. Because it split my order into like 4 different orders or whatever. So let's see what this is. Oh, okay. So these are basically Bondo spreaders. but they're great for putting, for spreading finish on, like if I'm going to put it on a board and this is the Bondo spreader, put an oil finish on there and it's great for spreading it all around and coating things because they're kind of soft and plasticky. They won't scratch. So I just got a set of Bondo spreaders. Nice. So that's what came. The rest of it is rumored to be arriving today. And I like the fact that these little packaging things that they use now are recyclable, which is really nice. And my recycle bin just happens to be right here. So I'm going to throw that right in the recycles. There we go. I like it's kind of like a really soft cardboard bag. It's really interesting. Anywho, back to where we were. So there's another one with the corners rounded. This one turned out really nice as well. Might be almost time for a new bit. We'll see. But anyway, it's cutting really well for the time being. We got this bad boy. It's kind of hardwood. You know what? I might hold off on this. I'm going to save the hardwoods for last. I think that's probably wise. What do I got down there? Walnut's pretty good. So walnut, we'll do that one next. And then I will do the sapele after that. And then we'll tackle these zebras and the jatoba. Can't say the word jatoba. We'll tackle those after that. All right. And in the meantime, let me grab a nice backer board for this. You know, it's walnut, so let's use walnut. I got 2 pieces of walnut here. And a cool little box right here. I like this box. This one turned out nice. Box base, you know, it's call it what you want. Okay, and let's get this one done. Ready for that one. And I don't have any place to put these after they're done. I'm going to stick this one back here for the moment. Grab sapele. Backer. All right. All right, this one looked nice. The lid back on here. And now we can move on to the big bear. Need another backer. Actually have one here that is made out of ash, super tough. So I think only fitting that it goes on here. Although I should use that for, if I'm going to do the Jatoba, I should probably cut this down and use it for the Jatoba too, just so it's super tough and super supportive. Anyway, let's do this and find out. Let me check chat real quick here. Okay, just checking chats. Nobody's here or nobody's talking, but that's okay. Moving on. All right, so just to show you what can happen to a piece of wood if you don't have a backer board, this is the backer board. But if I was cutting this without a backer board on here, see this big giant blowout right there? Look at that. Look at that piece that came off of here. There's no way I would be able to fix that. I mean, I might be able to try to glue these pieces back in, but it just would never look the same. So that's a perfect example of why I use the backer boards, because we want to eliminate that possibility from happening. So there you go. Thank you for demonstrating that. And this is Cherry, and Cherry is notorious for doing that. So, you know, that's the Cherry is what got me into using that backer board in the first place. All right, let's finish this base, and then we'll move on to the last one. Okay, I've been having success with these, and I think I'm going to roll the dice on this one. And let's go ahead and do the it's the one that scares me the most. But you know what? It is what it is, right? Let's just take our time. We'll make slow cuts. very light passes, and get our nice tight backer board on here. I think we'll be fine. I definitely need to look into investing in some new blades that I use all the time, new router bits, because these are getting a little bit on the dull side, I think, for some of these harder woods. But let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right, a lot of dust, but we were successful, which is good. So I did manage to get roundovers on here. That makes me very happy. So that's much more. Now you can see there's a little, see these dark edges, so that's burn, because I would enter in to the cut slowly and I would exit from the cut slowly because I was trying to really go light. But the longer you stay in one place, the more likely you are to get some burn. But that's okay, because you know what, I think we can easily get rid of stuff like this with, you know, working out with some sandpaper. I think we can probably make this thing look really spiffy. Get these things cleaned up a little bit. We will perfect those roundovers with the sanding, but that's not going to happen right now. At this moment, we have bases that are not functional. So we need to make our bases functional. And what I mean by that is we need to have strips of wood, not strips, but pieces of wood that are triangular in shape to put in the corners in order to support a sewing machine. Now, a smart person would have planned ahead and created a bunch of strips of wood already in a triangular configuration. But since we're talking about me, we know that's not the case, right? Know your weaknesses. I don't plan ahead. Big weakness. All right, let me get all these out of the way. I do actually have some pieces of corner material cut already that I can use for these. Now here's the thing. Do they have to be the same material? It's nice if they are, but it's not necessary. Here's a piece of sapele right here. I can cut this into triangles if I want to. I can cut a triangle out of that. Here is a piece of, I'm going to say oak. Nice piece of oak. It is triangular. Here, can you see that? I don't know if you can see it or not. Ooh, look at that. Triangular in shape, right? I can cut this down into shapes. I only need 12 inches, less than 12 inches, really 10 inches, but we'll call it 12 just to be on the safe side per base. So this one, it gives me 2 bases worth of things right here. So there's 2 right there. Let's see what else I got here. Because I have some of these already pre-cut in my storage bin. I keep them over here. When I'm doing some projects, I'm like, okay, well, I don't need, now this one, this one's interesting. So this is walnut, but these corners are huge. This is a huge triangular piece. I think what I'm going to do is take this, put it on my my table saw sled and cut this in half and get 2 triangular pieces out of this. These are like 18 inches or something like that. What is it? I'm sorry, 15 inches. But anyway, I can get maybe 3 out of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 on there. Let's see. I think I have some more cut over here. So let me check really quickly and see if I can find any more. I do have 2 more here. This one's kind of ugly. I don't know that I would use this one. It's fine for what I used it for, which is a hickory base, but it has these splotchy, it's got a whole bunch of these marks. See all those marks in there? They're kind of like, that's not burns or anything. That's just in the grain of the wood. And I mean, this is the face that you would see. So I'm not really loving these. They're there if I need them. This is cherry. Cherry's always good. I can always use cherry. This is a nice long piece of cherry. I can get at least, let's see here, at least 2 out of this one. There's 26 inches right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7. And then I can try to cut a, this might be a little thin. Might be a little thin, but we'll try. We'll try and see. So really, I don't have any pieces of wood that are going to support some of these bases because they are, like I said, you know, I don't have thick enough pieces of zebra wood and stuff like that. I don't have thick enough pieces of jatoba. I don't have these pieces of wood that are matching, but that's okay. They don't have to match. because we are going to just use whatever we need to. And you know, it's an interior piece and it's a support piece. Its whole job is to be there to hold up a sewing machine. So there'll be a machine sitting on them. All they need to be is stout and stiff. But they don't need to, whoa, I'm gonna mess things up here. Just trying to get this bit out of here so we can have some room to work with. But I'm gonna knock these off. We don't want that. So I'm gonna store these over here. Store all these over here, all the big ones anyway. Nice and evenly stored over here. And then these can be out of the way. Anyway, we don't need them to be color coordinated. It's nice if they are, if they can be, but they don't always need to be. And I'm okay if they're not. It's just not going up all the way. I have to lower this down. Hang on. Until it pops like that. I don't know why it does that sometimes. But now it'll go all the way to the top. Once it goes all the way to the top, it locks the collet so it won't turn, and it makes it easier for me to get the bit out. I could just lower this below the surface, but I'd rather take the bit out and put it away. And then I'll just put a flat top on the hole here. I've got a little plate that's just a flat plate. So we will use that. Cover the large hole here. So here, I don't know if you can see that, there's a flat plate right there. We're gonna stick this on here, lock that in, then we can get this stuff out of the way. Now I've got my work surface here. All right, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna move my camera angle around. I'm just gonna dance back and forth in front of you. I'm gonna move my camera angle down and around over to the to the table saw to start with. Right here, we'll just pull it out over there. There we go. So I'm gonna pull my table saw sled out here, and I don't know what I called this a minute ago, bench top sled, something, whatever. I don't know, I probably call it the wrong thing. But anyway, we're gonna use my table saw sled. There's this thing right here. It ain't great. I need to make a new one. It's served me okay, but I'm not super thrilled with it. I'm gonna clean the bottom off really quick. Some cobwebs and the dust on here, and I need it to slide on the table. I don't want it being marred up by any stuff. All right. So we can go pop this on the table over here. I have to move the fence over. Move all of this material out of the way. For the time being, this is cleaned off. All right. Somewhere, right there. There it is. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to split this in half. Now, this would be a horribly dangerous cut to do anywhere else, but because I have this, I can make this cut, and it's still dangerous to do on here, but I think I've done this before, and the way that you have to do it is you set it up so that I'm going to divide this in half right here. Actually, let me do this first. I'm going to just cut this edge off here just to square it up, which means I need to move some stuff out of the way so this thing can slide, because it does extend out a little bit here. But let me get all this stuff out of the way, and then we can slide this thing over here. I need to move, definitely need to move this stuff. We don't want it doing that. It doesn't need a lot of room, but it does need to come like that far. So that's how far it needs to go. I think we're good there. Okay. I also need some tape. And let's see if I can find which tape I want. We can use this tape, which is just blue painter's masking tape. And then I need to split this thing down the middle. So I need to find my little tool here that I use for angles and such. Where are you, little tool? Ever finding the tools I want when I want them. Of course, oh, there it is, right? It's actually there. Just wasn't looking in the right spot. Okay. All righty. I want my saddle square because it makes life easy. And I'm going to take my saddle square and a pencil, and we're going to find the end of this thing, but we're going to cut this off first. My table saw hooked up. I'm going to hook up the dust collection to the saw real quickly here. And then I'm going to square this end off first just to give me a nice clean edge. And then we can mark it up with the pencil. Let me raise my blade up here. It's fine. Right there. All righty. I could put it right against like this. It's actually probably a smart thing to do. Just put it right against there like that. Oh, and plug our saw in. Power's important. I think we covered that once already. All right. Of course, I had set my blade height for that, not for that, which is much taller, but that's okay. We got that now. So now what I'm going to do is use my saddle square and draw a line right down from the top of the triangle. I need to find that very top of that triangle. Clean off these little rough edges here so I can see that. And draw that straight down to the bottom here. And all I'm looking to do is line this up with the saw blade. So we've got a piece like, why are you stuck? What are you stuck on? Oh, it's very tall. It's not used to cutting that high. There we go. That should go through. Let me, hang on a second. Yeah, let me do this. I'm going to cut this a little higher on here, just because. So I need this to pass through, and I'm going to tape this onto here because, like I said, it's very dangerous to actually hold something like this in your hand and cut it. So what I do is I don't want my fingers that close to the blade, because if you're holding down, you're pinching in. Even though this is the safest way to cut on a table saw, it's still make them nervous. So what I do is I'm going to take some tape, and I'm going to just do like this. There we go. Put some on this side. And then I'll put some more down here. But this is going to hold this to the table so that when we make our cut, it's not going to allow it to move around It'll just keep it stationary, but it's not going to be applying any pressure on it by trying to hold it. And that's what I don't want to do with my hands. So that's why we use the tape here. And this is the only way I would ever consider doing a cut like this. I mean, maybe there's another way, but this to me is the only way that I would safely consider doing this. All right. So we're going to split this right down the middle. You ready? I think we're ready to go here. There we go. Did you see this piece fluttering? I don't know if you saw this piece fluttering after I got it through there. It's like, that's why, yeah. But now, here we go. 2 pieces from that one, and we are in business with this one. I like it a lot. Okay. Yeah, that's, like I said, only way I would ever consider doing that cut is like that. See these pieces here. So these look pretty good. I mean, the thing is there's some burn and stuff, but that's going to be in the interior. That's going to be in the corner. So all you're going to see is this nice clean face right here. You're going to see this nice clean face over here. This one needs a little sanding and whatnot, but it's not bad. But this one definitely good. So there's 2 of those. We could actually start cutting for bases now. And to do that, what time is it? 1:15. I can get this started. We can kind of look at the process here. So I'm going to get this walnut because that was walnut that I just cut. So let's go ahead and put the walnut, you know, we'll be species proper. So you can see that this is going to fit inside like that. That's a corner piece. And I'll cut 4 to go in all 4 corners like this. I need to figure out how tall these need to be though. This is a standard base. So I'm going to go get my friend, Mr. 15 over here. And he's going to help me. He's going to help me figure this out. So there we go. There's my sewing machine that I use for all these goodies. Now, you don't want, here's what you don't want. You don't want the surface of the bed to be flush with the top of the base. Because if you'll notice, like on here, there's a slide plate. And that slide plate has to slide. So if you've got it flush, then you have to tip the machine back to slide the slide plate to get to your bobbin. That is no good. So generally what I will do is I will try to measure the thickness of this. So I'm measuring from the bottom of the bed up to that plate, give or take, and then we will subtract that measurement. We're going to subtract that measurement from the overall depth of this base. I'm going to take a little off of there. So I'm going to call this point 2, which should give me some clearance here. That's actually a little, take it down just a little bit. I want to make sure I've got enough. And here's the thing, this is where it gets tricky. This stuff was all cast, and their castings are not perfect, so not every machine is like this. And some of them have what we call transverse shuttles, which means the slide plates come out of the side, not out of the front. There's a lot of things. So I try to give enough depth that it sets in and won't slide off the edge, but give functionality to these things that need to. Let's do 0.175, I think is, I like that. I'll lock that in. Check that. That should be enough clearance. All right. So 0.175. I'm going to write that down on my table here. 0.175. Dink, dink. And then we're going to measure the depth of this base. And that will get the 0.175 subtracted from it and tell us how long these pieces need to be. So we're going to take this and just slide it down. 2.79, 2.7825, 2.803, 2.812. So 2.8 something. This one definitely the outlier, 2.79. 2.715. Is that right? Try to be as exact as I can here. Let me hold this in the corner here. .786. So let me there we go. 2.7925 is longer. 2.8. So 2.8 definitely a little bit, you know, alongside here. 2.80. So let's go 2.8. 2.80. It's 2.807. And it is, we have to subtract our bed measurement for the machine. So let me see here. Clear. 2.807 minus point, what did we say? 175? .175 equals 2.632. So we got that going for us. So now what I will do is take this and measure in 2.632. 2.633, that's pretty darn close. You know, when you're dealing with the like thousands, ooh, look at that, perfect. And then I will use my market gauge here, or my multi-mark, and I'm going to set that depth right here. Which basically, if you want to know how much that is, that's 2 5/8 is really what that comes down to. And I'm going to check that in here, and that looks pretty good. Work that from this side here. So that looks pretty good. So we need to cut a piece that is basically this long. We need to cut 4 of them. I'm going to move this off to the side for the moment, because once I get these cut, I'm going to check the height, and I'm going to use the machine, excuse me, to check the height. So I don't need this right here. I'm going to set it behind me, and we're going to set up a stop. We'll go ahead and just keep using this table saw sled here. And we're going to set up a stop that is this. So I can get this right here, and I can dial this in because I can touch the edge of the blade with this. That's pretty good measurement if I can touch the edge of that blade. Let me get a different blade tooth on here. I'm going to touch the tooth with this market gauge and say that is exactly where I want this thing. Because it's just touching that tooth. And by doing so, lock in, stop. What I don't have is a piece of wood to use as a stop block. Let me grab one. And then we are going to get a clamp. It's a big clamp. And a smaller clamp. All these big clamps, but I just need a small clamp. Oh well. That's all right. Let's just clamp this in place. Make sure it's right there. Sure that's exactly where it needs to be. Hold that in place. Clamp it down. Okay, so now when we slide these pieces in here, we'll slide right against that stop. That should still be giving us the exact measurement that we need. If I put this right against there, of course I couldn't. Let me do it up a little bit. I just want to get this in here. Just want to check this one more time. Yep. Okay. So our stop block is in good place right there. We will hold this down and just make some pieces here. How about that? Let's give it a test run. Let me check the height here. We don't need that much height. That's kind of ridiculous. So we'll lower this down right there. Okay. All right, let's cut some. Check it out. Good. You can get them out. Oh, it'll clear out. So I push it all the way past the blade because I want to get them out. I don't want to pull it back with the blade spinning forward. If it catches that blade, it could mess up the edge. There's lots of things that could happen. So I just try to get them out of the way. I'm just trying to see. Oh, no, that's just too short. Okay, so I've got my 4 pieces here that I've cut. All right, so I've got these 4 blocks. I'm going to bring the sewing machine base back up. We're going to set it right here. And I'm going to just set these in place because I'm going to do what we call it, I guess, a dry fit. And check to see how the machine fits in here. If any of these are cut too long, I could always shorten them up See, we get clearance. Not bad. And I don't really have any tipping side to side. So that one is done, but you can see how that fits in there now. So really, this is kind of what the finished base looks like here. It's kind of nice, right? You like that? Looks good. Looks good, right? I mean, there's some stuff to clean up and stuff, but that's the general construction. It will not be like this because those get glued to this. All this side grain here gets glued. So all the weight will be borne by these and not the bottom of the base. But we do know that that is now successful. So here's the thing. Every one of these bases is slightly different. So I will take that 0.175 measurement and subtract it from the bottom of every one of these bases to establish how long that piece should be. But that worked out really well. That was really good. You can see how these things fit in the corner like this. Like I said, they'll get glued in. And yeah, once they're glued in, this base is essentially completed in the construction phase. Everything else after that is all finishing. It's sanding, it's edge, softening edges, softening the handle edges, and then putting finish on them. That's it. So this is the last big thing to do. And it's why I kind of like save it for last, because I like to get all this other work done before moving forward. What time is it? 1:30. Dang, didn't that work out nicely? All of my goodies are en route to me today, so that'll be nice. So we'll go ahead and I will call it a wrap for here. I'm going to work on these corners because they just need to be done. Let me pull up my stuff here. Oh, Wizard King dropped in on me. How you doing today? You always seem to drop in like right at the end, which is unfortunate, but I do appreciate you coming in. Let's see. I'm going to have to figure out which species I want to use with which base. I do have this little section of sapele, so I can cut, I can tilt the blade to 45 and cut a triangular piece out of this, which I might do. And then they might be too small, so I'll have to check and see, because this is not as thick as I wish it was. The other thing I can do with this, if I find that they're not thick enough, I could always, I've got a whole bunch of this stuff. And what I can do is basically, oh, you can't see. Ta-da, there we go. What I can do with this is not as thick as I prefer. So if I make a 45 cut on here, it's going to be a pretty small triangle that comes off of this thing. So what I could do is laminate two together, and that would in turn give me a nice fat piece that if I take, and I could do, several of these together and get a much larger triangular piece out of there. And that's something I've done before. That actually, the walnut that I just did, this is actually two pieces laminated, and if you look careful, it needs to be cleaned up. But you can see there's a glue line like right down the middle of this thing. So this was a laminated piece of walnut in order to get me pieces that were large enough to use for the corners. So I might end up doing that with these. I've got time. And these are nice clean boards. So if I laminate these together, that would probably be very useful. So I might do that for the sapele. For some of these other ones, I'm not sure. Like, I don't have a problem using the cherry with the Padauk. I mean, it's a lighter color, but that's okay. I mean, it's going to be on the inside. The bottoms are also light in color, right? Because I use the plywood, so I don't care that, if it'll look kind of like that. But once again, once the machine's sitting in there, it's not something that you really even care about. You just want something sturdy to hold the machine up. You don't care if it looks the same color sometimes. And like I said, because I have those plywood bottoms, and these are getting all natural finishes, sometimes I do dye the bottom if I'm doing dye staining, but these are not going to get dye stained. They're just going to get the the Odie's oil. And yeah. So anyway, I've got that. I've got walnut. I don't think I'm going to use, this is ugly. It's just ugly. This is hickory. It's got really cool figure in here. It's got some really cool striping figure, but these marks in here are just, yeesh. They don't belong in any of my bases. So we'll see. I will probably use walnut inside of the zebra, and I might make another walnut. I actually have some walnut that I could actually mill up some more. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm going to concentrate on this afternoon, and tomorrow is getting those pieces done. I also might go to the lumber store tomorrow, to my hardwood dealer, because I want to get some thick walnut to work on my tab. Because when I get these things done, I have a project that I want to work on. I want to get my cherry slab table finished, and so I need walnut for the legs. And so I think I'm going to work on that after I get done with these bases. That'll give me, I think I have 7 of them in my store right now. And if I add these in, you know, that gives me, what, 13? Something like that. No, 15. That'll be 15 bases sitting in my store. That's plenty for right now. That's more than enough. It'll allow me to work on some other stuff for a little bit and take a little break from sewing machine bases, because, you know, it gets old. But, and I also need to finish up my, I don't know where I put them, my charcuterie boards, because I still have some stuff to do with those. So I'll be working on that tomorrow as well. So I have a lot of things to do off camera, but I think these will suffice for what I need. They look pretty cool. I think these will work well with the Paduke. I've got 2 Sapili boxes, so I will definitely do a glue up and get some corner pieces out of this stuff, because I do have 2 bases to do that, which leaves me just with the Jatoba. I don't know. Maybe I'll use oak on the Jatoba. Who knows? We'll see what I get around to. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and spill on out of here. So thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. And, you know, you can always hit the rewind button and watch from the beginning if you jumped in late. And yeah, I think all we did today was I flattened this base lid right here. We got this base lid all fitted and flattened, and it's looking nice. And I had already done the other ones off camera. And then we rounded the edges. We used a big, large profile rounding bit on my router table and got all the edges done. So nice round profiles on these edges. And then we cut some corners that are going to go in here and serve as the base, the hold up section of the base for the sewing machine. So that's what we did today. It was a busy day. Now what we're going to do is have some lunch, come back on Friday, and you can see if I was a slacker or if I actually got stuff done. So thanks for stopping in, gang. I appreciate it. And I hope to see you again on Friday, or, you know, anytime that you have time, stop in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 to 1:30. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you later.